Hello, welcome to my kitchen. Today we're going to be talking about preserving some of the stuff that's coming out of the garden and, frankly, the woodland around us. So I'm going to be making some strawberry jam, also some strawberry tea. Whenever you're harvesting strawberries, don't get rid of the tops, or you can compost them or feed them to animals if you have them. Or you can put them in your dehydrator and then you end up with this. I've got it. Where is it? Where is it? Dehydrated strawberry tops. They make a lovely tea, or in addition to other teas. Top tip for you. But we have actually been very lucky this year. Despite the best efforts of every slug in Lancashire, we got a lot of strawberries. So we're going to make some jam. And then when we're done with that, I'm going to make and can up some applesauce. These are apples from our local community orchard. Anyone can go and just help themselves. They have started coming away. They are ripe, which feels very early this year. So we'll work our way through canning that up as well. Just as a little aside, I did get very lucky today. I've been out blackberry picking, but that blackberry jam and whatnot is for another day. Look at these hazelnuts. So these are going to go in a dark cupboard to dry out basically. And yeah, free hazelnuts. Brilliant. Whenever you are foraging, just be mindful, don't take too much. Obviously the wildlife needs it. So, you know, this is a Brucey bonus. This is more than plenty. So our next project is jam. I've got a kilo of strawberries here. Some are fresh from today. Some, as you can see, are still slightly frozen. But they're going to heat up just fine. I've got some lemon juice. I've got 1 kilo of jam sugar. That's just sugar that has some pectin in. I've got my jars, which I've washed. I'm about to pop in the oven to, you say sterilise. It's not surgically sterile, is it? But it's good enough. And the lids that you can hear the kettle on, I'm going to pop some boiling water on. So let's get the jam underway. I am going to water bath can these. I know this is a pressure canner, but it just happens to be the biggest pot I own. So I can cover the jars with water and boil them for, I'll have to double check how long you boil them for. Now, traditionally, my granny would never have done that. My granny would have just popped hot jam, hot jars, hot lids. They would have sealed and that would have been fine, but it is recommended these days that you do water bath can them, and since I have the ability to do so, I will do that. In go my strawberries. Get in there. The ratio is 1 kilo of fruit, whatever fruit, to 1 kilo of sugar. If you are somebody who is trying to avoid sugar, jam might not be your thing. There are low sugar jam recipes out there though. They tend to use more pectin, so I've got no experience with them. I figure the amount of jam that you're using, I'm comfortable with the amount of sugar, to be honest, but your mileage may vary. And let's have a go. And I'm also going to add a tablespoon or so of lemon juice. This plate is going in my freezer, so it's cold, so I can do the drippy, drizzly test. You know what, just for funsies, I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla as well. I've seen people make vanilla and strawberry jam and it sounds lovely. My sugar is all dissolved, so I'm going to up the heat and boil this for 10 minutes, by which point the strawberries will have started to disintegrate and hopefully we'll have a set starting. We will test that with the plate that's currently in my freezer. Just a side note, it is really important when making jam that you use a pot that's much deeper than you think you need, because this is molten lava. This will injure you, and it rises up quite a lot as it's boiling. It's like some sort of thing. So you want something that's got nice deep sides, that's got a nice heavy bottom, so it doesn't scorch on the bottom. Stir regularly so that you don't get any nasty burnt flavours in your jam, and just keep going with it. Now you can see all this foam that's coming up. A lot of this is just going to boil away, and you can scoop it off. I'm not that pedantic. What my granny always did and what I will do is, for whatever foam is left at the end of the process, I'll add the tiniest little bit of butter, and the oils and fats in the butter break the surface tension of the bubbles, so the foam disappears basically. And am I bothered about storing that tiny amount of butter? No, not really. we've lived this far. This has been going for a little bit longer than 15 minutes, about 18 minutes now. When the 15-minute timer went off, I didn't feel like it was quite done. So I'm just going to, I've got my very cold plate here. I'm going to drizzle some of the jam on it, and if it goes wrinkly very quickly and sort of parts and has a set, then we know we're good to go. And if it doesn't, we just keep going for a bit longer. I'm seeing slight wrinkling, but not, let's see. Obviously don't do that if you haven't just dropped it on a very cold plate. That taste of heaven. Okay, the 4-year-old's verdict was not good yet. We're going to keep boiling for another 4 minutes, I think. I've got an extra 4 minutes and I don't really want to go any longer because then you risk over-processing and you lose the fresh strawberry flavour and you end up with what tastes like supermarket jam, which is not what we are trying to achieve here. It has met with the 4-year-old's approval. As I mentioned, I am going to use just the tiniest bit of butter, and I do mean tiny, tiny bit, to get rid of all the foamy scum. I have my canner full of water and it's heating up, and the reason why you want to do that is because if you put hot jars with hot jam in it into a cold pan full of cold water, they will go because of thermal shock. They don't like to, glass expands and contracts with heat. Oh crikey, you've got skin on you already. Right, I did get as much of the scum off as I could, but I'm not going to worry about it. This is for us to eat, and there's only 6 jars here, so that's 6 weeks worth of jam. Right, here we go. Hot jars with hot liquids, so again, we're avoiding thermal shock, hopefully, she says. Look at the colour on that. It's glorious. Hello, Ed. Ah, hot.
Describing me again as glorious.
I'm describing you as glorious. Why not? Now it's going to have a good set on it because the stuff on the spoon is absolutely set. So I'm going to enjoy licking the spoon for the next 10 minutes. So this came with my canning set. It's a little magnet is what it is. Come on, Claire, use your words. Right, so I'm just going to use this to get my jars out of the very hot boiling water. Look at that. Which one do you go on? I think you go there. Ah, it's not too bad actually. Has been sat there a while. The jars are very, very hot though, so obviously, you know, handle with care. And if you don't have asbestos fingers like I do from a misspent youth working in a kitchen in an Italian restaurant, then be doubly careful. Right, as you can see, I've got the little trivet in the bottom of my pan so things aren't knocking about. Somebody told me the other day in a comment that I was holding these the wrong way around, and that actually is this way for the jars, which would make sense, so I'm going to give that a go. Yeah, that's right, that is easier. Set a timer for 5 minutes. I'm not putting this up to pressure, I'm not using it as a pressure canner, I'm just using it for water bathing, so the steam will escape through, here we go, the little vent over here. This probably won't pop up, and after that I'll pop them out, leave them to cool and hope they all seal. I'm proud to say that they have all sealed. You can tell because the ones with buttons, the buttons have popped. And if you get a spoon, a little tip for you is the ones that don't have buttons, there's a different sound between ones that have sealed and the ones that haven't. The ones that have a nice sort of high-pitched tight sound. So they all sound like they've sealed. But if I get a jar that isn't sealed, excuse the fact it needs a wash, I'm not using this obviously. If you listen to the difference, can you hear that? So there's your trick for knowing whether or not your non-pop top jar is sealed. Now the instructions that I have for my applesauce say, well, they're talking about vast quantities, making 7 quarts of applesauce. I do use a lot of it, I use it in my porridge, but I don't have 7 quarts worth here. And the instructions are basically to peel, chunk them, bob them in a pan with a little bit of water, and then if desired you can add 1/8 of a cup of sugar per quart of sauce. I might add a bit more than that because these are very, very tart. and then you put them in your jars and water bath can them. It says to do pint jars for 15 minutes or quart jars for 20 minutes. Pints is just less than 500 mils, quarts is just less than a litre, I believe. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on that one. And then there you go, you have shelf-stable applesauce. You don't need to freeze it, you don't need to refrigerate it, and I can enjoy these for the rest of the year. These won't last that long though. Just one thing, it does say that if you're worried about the apples browning whilst you're chopping everything, you can soak them in like water with lemon juice or whatever. I don't care. They can be brown, still going to taste good. So I'm just going to get them in a pot. Now, I'm just roughly chopping these because they are all going to get smashed up, probably with the help of a potato masher. I'm just going to give this another rinse and boil them down with that water until they do become, you know, basically mush, applesauce. You can use it on yogurt, you can use it in your porridge, you can use it however you like. You can feed it to small children, do whatever you fancy with it. Have it with pork, I suppose, that'd be good. But I am going to add sugar to it. As I said, most of these are cooking apples, so they are extremely tart. But I'm going to add the sugar towards the end. I'm not trying to make jam here. So I don't want to boil it long enough with sugar that eventually things set to like jelly, if you get my drift. I don't want a set on it. I want it to be runny, thick applesauce. You can keep boiling it down and boil and boil and boil and make apple butter, which is the thing I had never heard of before until I saw some American and Canadian YouTubers making it. And it sounds lovely. But that's not what we're doing today. Maybe another day. There's still a lot of apples on the trees. So here's my pot. And there are a couple of bits in there from the blossom end of the apples. A couple of scraps of peel too. I'm not overly fussy. So I'm going to add just a touch of water to stop everything scorching. And we'll get it on and get it cooked down and into jars whilst I crack on with some other things. 5 minutes to get to this point. There are still a few chunks in it, which I don't mind. If you wanted to make it super smooth, you can take an immersion blender to it. I quite like them because, as I said, this mostly gets used in my porridge. So smush up anything that you want, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. I'm going to add about a cup of sugar. I did also add a little bit more water as we were going. It just felt like it needed it to me. And I'm just using plain white sugar. You could use brown sugar. What I'm also going to do, just personal preference, is add a touch of vanilla. Get in there. This is very thick vanilla extract. And where's my cinnamon? Right, and cinnamon. You could add clove, nutmeg, all your sort of wintry spices, but I'm just going super simple with this. I will doubtless do many batches of this over the coming weeks as the apples ripen and come to. I have taken this off the heat just because it was getting a bit spitty, which was rude. And then we will get it in our jars. I am using recycled pasta sauce jars. They've been given a good wash. They are warm, so we will have warm contents going into warm glass. So we will hopefully avoid any breakages. I cannot tell you how good my kitchen smells right now. It's so good. Right, so, beg your pardon there. I've got my funnel and I'm just gonna fill the jars, and then I'm going to go around with a chopstick and get out as many bubbles as I can and leave about 1 inch of headspace, so a 1 inch gap between the applesauce and the lid. And then we will get these in a water bath canner, which is basically a big pot full of water. I don't have a specific water bath canner. I can't imagine why I would need one. Right, now they are full. There are no air bubbles. I'm just wiping to make sure I've got no sticky applesauce residue. This is just water. I'm not doing vinegar today. And then if you are a traditional, not traditional, that's the wrong word. If you are a by the book, follow the USDA, whatever it is, rules, you will just look away from your screens now. I'm reusing lids, okay? I'm reusing store-bought twist-on lids. And I have no problems with that. They all look good. It's my kitchen. You do you. And you crank these on, you properly screw them down. It's not like the 2-part lids that you get on like Ball or Kilner canning jars where you just do it fingertip tight. These you want to really, I don't know what that motion was, apologies for that. So this is my big Presto pressure canner. I'm just using it as a big pot today. It's got the trivet in the bottom and I'm going to start popping the jars in. These are hot, but I have asbestos fingers. But I'm not going to put the weight on the pressure valve, so it's not going to come up to pressure. We are purely just boiling these basically. So I'll add a little bit more water, I think. Once we are at a rolling boil, I let it go for 15 minutes and then I will pull them out carefully and leave them, and hopefully we'll hear ping, 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 ping as all the little buttons on the lids. I'm really struggling with my words today. Wow. Yeah, if you are a patient person and don't mind somebody on YouTube who occasionally just cannot get their words out, subscribe and you can watch me be awkward in future videos. Anyway, then I'll pop them out, leave them to rest. I will leave them at least until tomorrow morning to get properly cool, check the seals, pop them in the cupboard, and there we go. Will I label them? I probably won't. Moment of truth. Has anything broken? I don't think so. I didn't hear any crashes or bangs. It's just this. Always open it away from your face or you'll scorch your face off. Hey, I've got 5 intact jars. Thank you to the person who told me I was holding these the wrong way around. I appreciate you. Oh, glorious. Well, there we have it. Done for today, but as I mentioned, many, many more batches will happen. I'm also going to have a go at canning apple pie filling. I think that could be fun. Okay, let me know if you've been canning anything interesting lately. Thank you so much for watching and you take care. Bye.